In this lesson, we're going to take a look at Jerry's playing on The Music Never Stopped. The most interesting aspect of his playing from a technique standpoint on this song is that he would switch between pick and fingers throughout. If you're performing this song live, you need to be comfortable switching between the pick and finger style and stashing the pick while you're playing fingerstyle. And if you're new to this, it can take a while to get comfortable with. But Jerry was a pure master at it, and if you watch any video, you can see how effortlessly he switches between pick and fingers. Alright, depending on the version you're listening to, the song either kicks off with drums or Bobby's part. Bob Weir's part, I've got a whole lesson dedicated to that, and you can check that out. There's a link in the description, but his part starts like this. And then Jerry will come in with a lead part. Let's take a look at a typical Jerry intro. It sounds like this. Alright, so this lead comes from View from the Vault 2, or June 14th, 1991, and it starts off with this phrase. So the notes from this intro part come from a combination of the E mixolydian scale and the E minor pentatonic minor blues scales. Alright, this is a common opening that Jerry would play on this song, and you can see these notes as coming from the E mixolydian mode, or you can see it as an enclosure. So the note we're targeting is this 16th fret on the high E string, or G sharp, which is the third, major third of an E chord. So we're going to start on the 17th fret, then we're going to play 14, 15, 16. Then we have the 17th fret on the B string, 15th fret on the B string, or root, flat, 7th. So then on the G string we have 16 to 14, a muted note, and then the 12th fret of the 3rd string twice, a little blues curl or a quarter step bend. Then we land on the 14th fret of the D string, which is an E. So you can see that is right out of the E minor pentatonic or blues scale with chromaticism. Then flat 3rd to major 3rd. We walk down chromatically. Alright, sometimes Jerry's solos in the intro are shorter, and other times he stretched out a little bit. In this case, he stretched out a little bit, and now we have this phrase. Alright, so this next part is used at the end of the intro and throughout some of the verses. This is our first fingerstyle phrase. Let me first go over the what the notes we're playing, and then we'll take a look at the picking hand. So we start off with an open low E string. Then we have the 2nd fret of the A string. Then 3 hammer on 4 on the low E string, followed by the 2nd fret of the A string. Then we have the 2nd fret of the D string, then 3 hammer on 4 on the A string, and then the 2nd frets of the D and G strings. Then we play the open A string, followed by the 2nd frets of the D and G strings again, then 3 hammer on 4 on the A string, 2nd fret of the D string, then we have 4, 5, 4, 2 on the D string. then the 4th fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string. Alright, so when Jerry would fingerpick, he would use his thumb, index, and ring fingers. However, I'm going to choose to use my thumb, index, and middle fingers. So those are the fingers I'll be using. So I'll have my thumb on the low E string, then I have the index on the A string, and I have the middle finger on the D string. So that's when I'm playing the low 3 strings, and then I'm going to move these up a set of strings, so then I'll have the thumb on the A, I'll have the index on the D, and I'll have the middle finger on the G string. So we're going to start off with the fingers down here. So the low E, A, and D strings. So the thumb starts off by playing the low E string, and then we have the index finger playing the 2nd fret on the A string. So then 3 hammer on 4, that's done with the thumb. And then again, the index finger picks that 2nd fret of the A string. So then move those fingers up a set of strings, and we have the index finger playing the 2nd fret of the D string, then the thumb playing 3 hammer on 4 on the A string. Then we're going to use both fingers, the index in the middle, to play the D and G string. So that's our 2nd fret on the D and G strings. Then the open A string with the thumb, and then the index and middle again playing the D and G strings. Thumb again on that A string, index on the 2nd fret of the D string. Then I use my index finger to play that 4th fret of the D string, slide into the 5th, back to the 4th, and I can either pull off or use my index finger to play the string again. Then the thumb plays the A string, the 4th fret of the A string, index gets that 2nd fret of the D. Alright, so once the verse starts, we play that 3 times, and then the 4th time we make an E chord, and we play the open E string, low E, followed by the 2nd fret on the D string twice. Then we switch to our pick, and we have this. Alright, so this chromatic phrase is not on the album version, but Jerry did play it back in like 76, 77, so it showed up on early versions, but then later in the 80s when Brett was with the band, he would double that on keyboards. So we start with 7, 8, 9 on the D string, then move down a fret, 6, 7, 8, move down a fret, 5, 6, 7, move down a fret, 4, 5, 6. Then the next part of the verse is played with the pick. So this right here, this is what Jerry would do in later versions, because he had this set part. In earlier versions, the part wasn't so set. He would kind of just improvise around a phrase like that, but up an octave. So on the studio version, we have this. So Jerry would improvise around something like that, but then that part became set in later versions, and we got this. we have an open low E string, followed by 7, pull off 5 on the A string, and then 7th fret on the A string, open low E, and then we're going to play these double stops. So we have the 4th fret of the A string and the 2nd fret of the D string. So we have the major 3rd and 5th of an A chord. And then we're going to play the 3rd fret of the A string and the 2nd fret of the D string. So then we have the root and 3rd of a C chord. We do that 3 times, and then we have, so again we make this E chord, play a low open E, followed by the 2nd fret on the D string twice. Then we have this walk up phrase. And that's while Bob is playing. Then we had the first part of the chorus, which is played fingerstyle. So the first shape is this right here. So we have the 7th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string, and 8th fret on the B string. We have root, 5th, flat 7th. Then we leave the 7th fret on the D string and we move the 9th fret on the G string down 1 fret and the 8th fret on the B string down 1 fret. So we have 7 on the D, 8 on the G, and 7 on the B. This gives us a diminished chord. Then we're going to move everything except for the 7th fret on the D string down a fret. So then we have 7th on the D string, 7th on the G string, and 6th on the B string. So this is a D minor. And then we have an A chord. Jerry may change the rhythm, but basically it's something like this. So we have the D string, followed by the G string, back to the D string, then the B string, then the G string. Do that again. Alright, and then the second half of the chorus, Jerry plays an improvised lead line. The first time I have this. For the first few chords, Jerry just plays basically around the A major scale. So our first phrase sounds like this. So if you take a look at the A major scale, and then we have Alright, and then this next part follows the chords a little bit more closely at first. And then Jerry kind of plays out of the A major pentatonic scale. And then for the last two bars, he plays out of the E major scale. So we have a sequence right here. And then the minor third to major third. Alright, and then we get to the second verse. So the second and fourth verses are in the key of A. So Bob's part goes like this. And while he's doing that, Jerry's doing this. Alright, so we start with an A cage-shaped A chord up here in 12th position. So we have the 12th fret of the A string, then we have the 14th frets of the D, G, and B strings. Then what we're essentially playing is a G over B chord. So we have the 14th fret of the A string, then the 12th frets of the D, G, and B strings. But in this context, we get an A9 chord. So the 9th is down here, then we have the 11th, we have the flat 7th, and we have the 9th again. So this is a really cool little move. And then with this shape, we're going to move this down a whole step. So now we have our middle finger on the 12th fret of the A string and our bar on the 10th frets of the D, G, and B strings. We play that and we hammer on with the middle finger to the 11th fret of the G string. So we're playing a D7 chord, but we're hammering on from the minor to the major third. Then we have F, G, then back to A. So D, E, A. Then before we get back into the verse, we have this, like a little run. Jerry would play something like. And then we go back into our finger picking lick. So we have. So back to the finger picking lick 3 times. And we switch to pick and we play this chromatic line. Then we have our second part of the verse. first part of the chorus. Then we have another improvised solo over the next chords, the second part of the chorus. This one comes from 427.77, and it sounds like this. Alright, so again, this part is improvised out of the A major scale for the first 3 bars, and this time Jerry's playing this. Alright, so for these 2 bars, the D minor 7 to G, or like I said, what in Bob's lesson, that the D minor, he's not really playing a D minor, he's playing this chord that's more ambiguous, so it could be either minor or dominant 7. But up here, Jerry's playing a D minor arpeggio. Then for the G, he's playing a G7 arpeggio. And then for the next set of chords, for the next 2 bars, he plays right out of the A major pentatonic scale. And then he anticipates the E7 early. So now he's going to play this right here. So a nice little blues phrase, which is basically right out of the E minor pentatonic with the addition of the major third. So we start with the major third to the root. Then we have chromaticism, so if you think of the E minor pentatonic scale, we're just playing chromatically. Then major third, root, major third, slide that up. So this is the top half of the minor pentatonic scale, and we're going to play. So minor to major third again. Back to the verse in A. And then to lead into the jam section, we're going to play E, F sharp, and then we have our 6/8 jam in B mixolydian. Alright, so the solo for the 6/8 jam comes from 427.77. So in the earlier years, the 6/8 jam would be shorter than in later years where it would stretch out much longer. So this one is just 16 bars long. Alright, so let's take a look at the first phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Alright, so we're going to start, if you take a look at like a B triad, we start with the 5th, and then the root. This is all B mixolydian. And then we have some chromaticism. So a little more chromaticism right there. More chromaticism. Alright, so check out this sequencing right here after we have... So the sequence is... Then it flips around. So let me play that part slowly. And then to get out of the 6/8 jam, we're going to play and we bend that D sharp up a half step to E. Alright, now we're on the outro jam. This is the same chords as the intro, the E to E7, A to C. And this solo comes from the album Blues for Allah. So actually the very first part is from the end of that 427-77 jam section. And then this next part comes from Blues for Allah and goes like this. So again, this is that enclosure idea. Then we have then E blues scale or minor pentatonic. Check out that chromatic half step. And then this part's really cool. We have so this is right out of the E minor pentatonic scale with the addition of the sixth, the C sharp. So we have that's just a half step. Then we have so over the E to E7, we have the E minor pentatonic scale with the addition of the major third. Then over the A, we're gonna play 12 to 14 on the B string. So we're playing that A, that C sharp, the major third of A. Then we're playing 13th fret, C, and now we're over the C chord. So this is all blues phrases coming from the E minor pentatonic E blues with the addition of the major third. All right, let me play what we have so far, the outro. All right, still playing right out of the blues scale, we have back to this fingerstyle part. All right, let me just play through phrase by phrase of the outro. So we have Alright, so that's Jerry Garcia's guitar parts on The Music Never Stopped. Alright, I will see you next time.